Welcome to Catchy Cartoons. In today's video, the second in my How to Caricature series, I'm going to show you how to draw a caricature of world-famous YouTube star Jazza. As a keen follower of Jazza myself, I can safely say that his channel is well worth a visit for any aspiring artist, as he has an approach to drawing, painting and animation that's presented in a really fun but informative manner. So today, let's learn and have some fun creating a caricature homage to Jazza. The first step in the caricature process is to study your reference, and in this case, I'm using this photograph. Look carefully and the reference will soon tell you what to exaggerate. For instance, here I see small, bright eyes, a long chin, and a strong jaw. A big, generous smile, laugh lines, of course, a broad nose, particularly at the base, and a fun, spiky hairdo. I also like to look for specifics, expression, and body language as I try to get a feel for my subject's personality. But since this image appears to be a standard say cheese type of shot, I'm going to try to capture Jazza's fun nature, not only by pushing the expression he has in this particular reference, but also from what I've observed from other photographs, and of course his many, many videos. So let's get drawing. We'll start our rough by drawing a circle for Jazza's head. This will be used as a placemat for his eyes and nose. We'll sketch in the eye line at an angle to reflect the tilt of his head. Let's draw a circle for the bottom of the nose. We'll start the nose at the outside of the brow, take the line across, and then down to the tip of his nose. Now normally, I'd start a character with the eyes, but since Jazza's nose is fairly prominent, I'm going to start with his nose and build from there. We'll sketch in the wings of his nose. We'll draw his eyes wide open and place the irises just inside of center. Try never to draw the irises dead center, as you run the risk of your character looking stunned. Unless that's what you want, of course. Jazza's brows are quite thick, so take that into consideration as you block them in. Take note that I've drawn the screen left eye bigger than the right eye, and the left brow is a different shape and higher than the right brow. This was done to create some asymmetry, to help push Jazza's expression as I try to capture his big personality. Let's push his expression some more by opening up his mouth, and we'll indicate some teeth. We'll start his chin just outside of his mouth and take the line down about the length of his nose. Square up the chin as we draw the line across and take the line back up to his mouth. The laugh lines should start just outside of the nostrils. Arc the line out to the corner of his mouth and back in, down towards the chin. For his jaw, we'll start just outside the circle as we angle the line out. A fairly sharp turn at the corner, and then angle the line in as we move down to near the bottom of Jazza's chin. We'll start his forehead just outside of the circle and take the line up about the same length of his nose and at roughly the same angle as the side of his face. Arc around the top of his head and back down to the circle. For the ear, we're going to use a simple little trick by drawing the number 3. Make it roughly the same length as his nose, starting at the eye line. And see, it really works. It looks like an ear. And for the other ear, you guessed it, simply a backwards 3, once again, roughly the same length of his nose. Is anyone sensing a pattern here? Something about everything being the same length of his nose? Well, while there are rules for proportions in portraiture, in this case it's purely coincidental. We'll simplify his hair to one silly but stylish spike on the left side of his head, and we'll crop the hair closely down the sides of his head, and just quickly draw in the hairline. We'll block in Jazza's neck and body using 2 simple lines. We'll draw a gentle sweeping arc for the right shoulder, And for the left, we'll have more of a sharp turn from the neck to the shoulder. Let's... My dog is snoring. Can you hear it? Let's rough in the collar of his t-shirt, and we'll finish the rough by sketching in the collar to his jacket. Now, whenever you're drawing clothing, always remember to think of the form and volume of your subject's body. We want Jazza's jacket to feel like it's wrapping around behind his neck, draping across his shoulders, and then hanging down off his body. And now onto the tie-down stage, where we'll solidify our caricature of Jazza by playing with the shapes and forms, and by adding more information to the drawing. We'll start by making subtle changes to Jazza's eyes, and by adding the lids. The nose is looking good, although I might make it a bit wider. Let's indicate his nostrils as we tie down the wings of his nose. The left brow is looking small, so let's make it bigger. We'll tone down the shape of the right brow, and we'll add a little furrow to the bridge of his nose. The mouth is looking solid. We'll just draw in Jazza's lips, add some definition to the teeth, and a little form to the tongue. Let's add some shape to his brow. Make the chin a touch longer. Bring those laugh lines in a bit. Indicate some volume from the mouth to the chin. And I think we'll lower the jawline and make the face a bit wider. Remember to stay loose as we search for the right lines for the sides of his head. We'll indicate a bit of volume to the forehead. We'll shave a little bit off the left ear and knock in some detail. And we'll do the same for the right ear as well. We'll make a slight adjustment to his hair. Maybe a big adjustment. Perhaps it was a bit too silly after all. Let's add a bit more bulk to the side of his head, finish his sideburn, and add a bit more information to the rest of his hair. We'll do a little more work on the left side of his head and the hairline. And let's rough in some detail within the hair as well. His hair should feel like it's combed back along the sides of his head and then spiked up along the top. We'll indicate his throat with a simple V shape. Solidify his neck and shoulders. Rough in a bit more information to the t-shirt. We'll loosely sketch in some folds and seams to add some dimension to the collar of his jacket. So how's everyone doing so far? If you're finding this Jazza caricature fun and maybe learning something as well, please hit the like button. And you know, like everyone else, I'd really appreciate it if you considered subscribing too. Thanks! Now let's move on to the second tie-down stage, where we'll do a tiny bit of polishing and apply a darker and more committed line. This second tie-down stage is going to be the final stage of this Jazza caricature, because I really like the life and vitality that's brought to the drawing by the loose and somewhat rough line work. Sometimes you can actually lose a character's personality simply by tightening it up too much. That being said, however, I may go on to finish all my caricatures in colour at a later date, so stay tuned! For this stage of the process, I'm going to reiterate my thoughts on good caricature from my previous How to Caricature Lily Singh video. So here goes. A caricature is essentially a portrait where the volume has been turned up to 11 on the dial by exaggerating the subject's features, expression, and body language. But good caricature is not simply drawing a big nose or big ears just because you see them. That's just distorting the drawing. You need to draw with a purpose. As you're drawing, you should be thinking not only about what you're exaggerating, but how it relates to the other features of the face. Everything needs to work in harmony to attain your goal of instant recognizability and hopefully capture your subject's personality as well. And with all that in mind, let's get back to Jazza, where we'll clean up his neck, add a darker line to the collar and the folds and seams of his jacket, and then finally, we'll just add some tone to the inside of Jazza's mouth and eyebrows. And we're finished! A caricature of Jazza! Please click on the like button if you enjoyed this caricature of Jazza. To see more from Catchy Cartoons, please hit the subscribe button, hit the bell button to be notified of my next video. Please share this video and leave a comment. Maybe someone that you would like to see caricatured. And why not send me your Jazza caricature? It just might show up in a future Catchy Cartoons video. So thanks so much for watching, and make sure to keep up with your drawing until next time.